Alright, it's a SmarkCast here from my home in Knoxville, Tennessee. I am having to do these video blogs because I messed up my hand. And I can't type really well right now. I can't use my thumb, and that throws me off. I can't type fast, but having to use Twitter with just my left hand, and it's been insane. It's kind of weird that this happens now because I have a lot to write about, but I guess I'll just have to buckle down and do these video blogs. I know a few people that will be extremely happy that I'm just going to be doing these videos. I mean, we got Johnny Hendricks versus Robbie Lawler on Saturday with the UFC. I know a lot of people don't really care about that. They watch wrestling, but I do. I'm a huge MMA fan. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for years. So, and then we have Sunday is a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, which I'm really excited about that. I love Ring of Honor. I would be doing a Ring of Honor prediction, but to me, it's become more about the show and less about who's going to win. I honestly don't care who's going to win. I just love watching the show. So I won't be doing a prediction. I just say that if you haven't ever seen a Ring of Honor event, or you're on the fence about ordering this pay-per-view on Sunday, do it. It's going to be well worth it, I think, because Ring of Honor just rarely puts on a bad show. Thursday we have the NXT special event, and then Sunday we have the TLC pay-per-view. So next week, the next SmarkCast will probably be a prediction for both the NXT and the TLC. But we will get to that much later. Don't really care about that right now. So we'll start off with something that I just found out about yesterday, and I feel kind of weird that I just found out about it yesterday, but NJPW World. It's basically NJPW's network. I find it funny that they're doing it for 9.99 yen, which is, that's a dig at WWE, and it's funny. But translate 9.99 yen to American dollars, and you have $8.47, and it is well worth it. I found out about it, and I was like, please tell me they accept foreign credit cards, and I found out that they did, and I immediately went to the NJPW website and signed up. It was a little difficult, but I can tell you it makes it a lot easier if you use Google Chrome, because Google Chrome has a automatic translation device. So, because it is all in Japanese. I mean, even the network itself is in Japanese. There's hardly any English at all on it, so be prepared for that. But I'm telling you, it's worth it, and hopefully they'll come up with an English version, because I still truly believe that if just a few people in America order this, not the niche audience that NJPW has in America right now, but if a few people in America order this and then word of mouth gets out, I truly believe WWE will have serious competition. Because bottom line, and I'm not just saying this because WWE is not at its best right now, it's been this way for years. NJPW is better than WWE. Storylines, wrestling, everything. Everything is better in NJPW because they listen to the fans. The fans have wanted Okada versus Tanahashi, even though it's happened before. The fans have wanted it, and NJPW listens, and they built their entire year around getting Tanahashi and Okada together. We all knew that either Okada or Tanahashi was going to win the G1 Global Climax. And then it happened. The thing that's surprising, I did not see Tanahashi beating AJ for the title. I didn't see that. I thought we were going to get Tanahashi versus Okada, and Okada would beat Tanahashi and then face AJ for the title and win it. Didn't happen that way. Instead, Tanahashi wins, and we get Tanahashi versus Okada for the title, which is awesome. But that's not until January. Either way, you can see all this happen on NJPW World, their little network. It's seriously awesome. I'm a big advocate of it, and I'm serious when I say you should really just go into your couch, your car, find all the change you can, and you'll be able to grab $9 right there. Go to the bank, put it in there, and order NJPW World just for this month. You get 4 events this month, just December, and then you can even get Wrestle Kingdom 9 in in January for $847, which doesn't have the same ring to it as $9.99, but same thing. It's awesome. So you get all that, and it's just so great. They have everything from NJPW all the way back to 75. I will say that the WWE Network has them beat in documentaries because NJPW documentaries are in Japanese. They don't have English translation yet. But as for content, NJPW has something that WWE does not have, which is an amazing search engine. You can search for, let's say, Tanahashi. Just search for Tanahashi, and it comes up with all his matches, and it comes up with his matches that you can watch. You don't have to watch a whole pay-per-view, a whole event, just to see his matches. It'll just pull up his matches. It's really neat. Really like it, and I'm a big advocate of it. So go out there and get that. It's worth it. Well worth it. And if it comes down to it, what NJPW said in their press conference was that they want to be the #1 wrestling company in the world. Shots fired, because they have started step one. And if only word of mouth would get out, and I'm sure they will with their new partnership, I guess, with Global Force Wrestling and Jeff Jarrett. They probably will be bringing out an English version. So let's hope that happens. Alright, enough about that. Don't really want to cover Sting. It's just, I'm sorry, that's just not my thing. People who read the SmarkCast, who watch my videos, who know who I am, know that I'm all about the future, and Sting is the past. I think that bringing Sting in is best for business, because it will bring in ratings and everything like that, and he needs a few matches in the WWE so he can get WWE Hall of Fame. But other than that, I don't really care. So I guess the next thing would be Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon and his interview or podcast with Stone Cold Steve Austin, which was awesome. I mean, I loved every minute of it. I only disagreed with Vince McMahon twice in the whole thing. There was points there where I'm like, yeah, I call bull crap on that. Like the whole, me sending CM Punk his papers on his wedding day was complete coincidence. I call bull crap. Out of 5 months, it just magically happens on that day. Crap. Total crap. I think he's lying on that one. And as for CM Punk, the things he said were in his podcast. I mean, it was an excellent podcast. If you haven't listened to it, you really need to. But a lot of it is Punk's side of the story. We don't get Ryback's side of the story. We don't get Vince McMahon's side of the story. We don't get WWE's side of the story. We don't get the Doctor's side of the story. We get Punk's side of the story. But because he's CM Punk, everyone is going to believe every word he says. Do I believe that Ryback injured him? Yes. Do I believe that WWE had him fight with a staph infection? I do believe that. But I believe that if CM Punk really would have said, hey, look, I'm really hurt here, they would have protected him. Because, believe it or not, Vince McMahon actually cares about his wrestlers. So, I do believe CM Punk to a point. That's my dog snoring. I do believe CM Punk to a point. But I don't believe absolutely everything that he said. He is CM Punk. He is known for embellishing the truth a little bit. There is one thing that comes out of this that I'm glad to see, and that's that AJ Lee is not being punished. That's really cool. So, but moving on to Vince McMahon and his apology to Punk for that. That was cool. I think it was sincere. I like how he didn't really skirt the question, but he was kind of like, you know what, I don't want to air this dirty laundry right now, which is really cool. And I think what he's doing is saving face. I think he's trying to prop that door open. Say, hey, what if CM Punk decides to come back? I want this door to be open. I want him to come back to us. Which I I've been saying it since he walked out all those months ago that I don't believe CM Punk will ever come back. And if you believe Punk in that podcast, he said he's not coming back. He said he has no desire to be in professional wrestling ever again. And to be honest, he doesn't need to be. A lot of people are saying, oh, where's he going to get his money? He writes for Marvel now. A lot of people don't understand how big of a deal that is, especially not people like nerds like me understand it. But he's writing a Thor comic book, and rumor, I don't know if this one's true, but he's supposed to be starting to write Punisher as well. And I mean, he's going to need a lot of money for that, especially if it's a big selling comic book, which I work at a comic book store, and I know that when news broke that CM Punk was going to be writing the Thor Annual 1 coming out in February, we had 13 pre-orders on the next day for that comic book. So, and we've had pre-orders for that like systematically ever since. So he's going to be fine. He's already got plenty of money. He's got plenty of merchandise sales. He's opened up a store in Pro Wrestling Tees. Jeez, man, but I mean, it's people need to quit worrying about Punk. Punk is done, and I want to say the crowd for Raw was awful, except for one point when AJ Lee was in the ring and everyone started chanting CM Punk, and then you just heard that little inkling of AJ Lee, and then the AJ Lee chant overpowered the CM Punk chant. That was awesome. I commend that crowd for that, but other than that crowd sucked. They didn't cheer, they didn't do anything. So, alright, but back to Vince McMahon and the two things I disagree with him on. One thing is very controversial, and ever since I said, oh, I disagree with him on that, I've had like 14 conversations on Twitter about it. Most of them have been actually very cordial, very, very like, oh, well, I agree to disagree kind of thing. But a lot of people I talk to are like that. There's just a few jerks. But anyway, number one, he said that he doesn't understand why Cesaro's not over. That one's a pretty easy one to answer. It's because they've never given him direction. And that's WWE's fault, not Cesaro's fault. However, I do agree that Cesaro may not have it. He's not very good on the mic. That's true. But he can out-wrestle 75% of the people in the back. But they really haven't given him a chance. So I don't know if he has it, because I haven't actually seen him really get any glory. I mean, yeah, he won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, but just like back then in April, when I did my prediction column, I did my prediction SmarkCast, I even said whoever wins this Andre the Giant Memorial, it's not going to mean anything. I said that. I said those words. Go back and look. I said it's not going to mean anything because there was nothing involved. What was involved was a trophy. There was no number one contendership, no title, no prize. You won the inaugural Andre the Giant Battle Royal. That's it. I mean, unless in wrestling, it's much, 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 much different than a normal sport. There has to be something. If you want to make something big, case in point, the Royal Rumble. The very first Royal Rumble was for a title, and then from then on, it became about getting the main event at WrestleMania, winning more titles. It always meant something. It never was just, oh, you get a trophy. King of the Ring. King of the Ring. You get, like, when the first one came out, it was you get a scepter and a trophy, and you sit in a throne. And it didn't mean much. But then later on, it became bigger and bigger and bigger because they started making it mean something. When you won the King of the Ring, you stepped up. You became Intercontinental Champion. You became Heavyweight Champion. It always meant something. The Andre the Giant Battle Royal meant nothing. So, he's never had that shine. He's never had that glory. Cesaro could be one of the biggest stars ever. They just need to quit making him switch face and heel and give him a singular direction. Right now, I still think he's being punished. But I think he's slowly getting out of that because his back and forth with Tyson Kidd was really good. So give him to Tyson Kidd. Let him form a tag team. Why not? You know, the tag team division's kind of slowed up right now. I'd say, let's say around January, maybe late December. I think we will probably get the Ascension. The Ascension will come in and start their thing. Hopefully not directly into the title picture. Hopefully they'll kind of build up. Because in reality, we haven't seen them in real competition yet. We will come December, because Ascension versus Finn Balor and Hideo Itami will be great. So we got that to look forward to. But Cesaro is just, he hasn't had that chance. So if Vince McMahon wants to know why Cesaro isn't completely over, and he's really not. I mean, yeah, he has that section. He has those people that cheer him. He has those people that love him. And it's about 50-50. I mean, you can hear he gets a big reaction, but he doesn't get a huge pop. The pop of Ziggler, the pop of Cena, pop of people, you know, that are just more popular. And that will change. If they just give him direction, he will become a huge star. He has the ability to become a huge star. It's kind of like right now no one has direction. I mean, it's really bad when the best feud you have going on right now is a mid-card feud. It's the Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose. That's the best feud you've got, because really, in all honesty, there is no other feud. There's storylines. There's Rusev. But right now, WWE is in a lull. It's very slow, and there's nothing for the audience. And I'm hoping that this interview, because in Vince's interview, he said that the wrestlers in the back today aren't like what they were back then. And they don't have that drive. And I'm hoping that everyone in the back watched that and was like, and be like, screw Vince McMahon, I don't have drive, and just brings it out there. That really hurt. And just brings it out, brings their A game, and starts, you know, really trying. And I think they will, because as of right now, we have a handful of guys that really go out there and bust their ass. And that's Ziggler, Rollins, Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro. We have like a handful of people. We don't have what we had back in the day where every guy in the back busted their ass. So Vince McMahon, maybe his little speech is really going to get those people, get their blood flowing. All right, the second thing Vince McMahon said that I didn't fully agree with, which is a little weird because I agreed with what he said, but I kind of didn't agree with what he said. It was really odd because I was like, yeah, no. You know, I was kind of like that. But Brock Lesnar, I 100% agree that dude is an anomaly. He is an attraction. And I fully agree that he should be a part-time thing where we only see him a little bit, because he will get boring if he just destroys everybody. It's 100% true. But basically what I didn't agree with was Vince McMahon's thoughts on the belt. When he said that, well, Brock Lesnar is the draw. The belt is not the draw. Which basically he pissed all over the WWE belt. He was like, you know what, this belt doesn't mean anything. It's all about Brock Lesnar. And, I mean, I remember a time when the WWE belt meant something. It was, I mean, think back to the boyhood dream. Shawn Michaels winning that belt for the first time, and he held it, stared at it, and cried. That was a moment. If you want to go back more modern, Daniel Bryan winning the belt at WrestleMania, that was a huge freaking deal. A huge deal. He won it, everyone cheered, that's what everyone wanted, and it was just a moment. Hulk Hogan holding that belt for as long as he did because no one could beat him. That was a big deal. That belt means something. And, I mean, yeah, it's not like the UFC where the UFC guys are really, like, there's sanctions. Like, you can't fight and then fight the very next month. You can't do that. It doesn't matter if you walk in that cage, hit someone, knock them out, and then just leave. You still can't fight for a month because you got to go through medical evaluations and you got to train for the next fight. It's just, but that isn't what wrestling is. Wrestling is entertainment. It is fake. Well, not fake, but it's, I mean, yeah, it does take a toll on your body, but you're an actor. Now, do I think that the belt should be defended once a month? Yes, I think it really should. But if they just decide, well, the belt's only going to be defended once every other month, I would be fine with that. Because that gives you 2 months to build up a feud, 2 months to build up something. That would be great. I would enjoy that. But this belt is not being defended for 5 months is ridiculous and should not happen. And it's taken away just everything from that belt. The belt means nothing if it's not going to be defended. Not to mention, every year, one of the best storylines is the Money in the Bank briefcase. When's he going to cash it in? How's he going to cash it in? Who's he going to cash it in on? Always exciting. Always intriguing. But now that belt, I mean, that briefcase means absolutely nothing because the guy who holds the belt is never there. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Seth Rollins can never cash in because Brock Lesnar's never there. And that's not Brock Lesnar's fault. It's just the way Brock Lesnar is. And then on the flip side of all of this, even though I don't fully agree with the way the belt's being treated right now, on the flip side of it all, come WrestleMania, when Brock Lesnar finally loses that belt, that is going to be a huge moment. I mean, if he loses it to Roman Reigns, which seems to be the plan right now, if he loses it to Roman Reigns is a made man. He beat the man that The Undertaker couldn't beat. He beat the man that Cena couldn't beat. He's made. He's the man. And that'll be a wonderful moment. But that's really it. That's the only two things I didn't really agree with. But it's a really confusing thing because I agree with him to an extent and I don't agree with him to an extent. So, either way. But, yeah, so we have, but right now the biggest thing, the only thing that I want to cover from Raw was the new stipulation added to, or the new match and stipulation. Cena versus Seth Rollins. If Rollins wins, it's a table match, and if Rollins wins, Cena is no longer the #1 contender. So there is going to be a telltale sign on if Cena is going to win this. If at any point in the next 2 weeks before the pay-per-view, if at any point the WWE mentions that Cena does not have a really good record in tables matches, Cena's going to win it. Because it'll be his final achieving moment, which would be stupid. But if they never mentioned, there's a chance Rollins could win this. The problem I have is who becomes #1 contender in a month. You have 1 month to come up with someone, and the only person I can think of that really deserves it, really needs it, and would be an intriguing match for Brock Lesnar is Randy Orton. I mean, you can have Randy Orton lose to Brock Lesnar, but he would actually put on a good match, and then it becomes Roman Reigns has beat the guy that The Undertaker, Cena, and Orton couldn't defeat. But even better. So, all in all, I don't know what's going to happen. There's a question of, is Sting going to wrestle at Royal Rumble? I don't think so. I think if he wrestles at all, it'll be WrestleMania 31, and I think he wrestles Triple H, and maybe WrestleMania 32, because I've said it before, and I've been saying it for a while now, that if we get Sting versus Undertaker, which personally I don't throw bricks at me or anything, but personally I don't want to see that. I mean, I want to see the promos and the pageantry, I want to see all that. But I don't want to see the match. I don't want to see two 60-year-old guys go at it. I mean, for me, it'll be just like The Rock and Hulk Hogan, where everyone loves the match. Everyone was cheering and carrying on and everything. But in reality, that match was terrible. It was awful. People were cheering back rakes And it's like, that's stupid, man. It wasn't even a competitive match. Even Hulk Hogan didn't even take the rock bottom right. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see two 60-year-old dudes go at it in wheelchairs. It's not going to happen. Not to mention, if you didn't see the Undertaker's last match, it wasn't very good. And if you didn't see Sting's last 3 years worth of matches, they weren't very good. Triple H and Sting will be an amazing match. That will actually work. But Undertaker and Sting, I don't think it will. But if we do see it, which I know that even if it does happen, I'm still going to be the guy being like, oh, this is awesome. Because the pageantry and the promos will be great. And even when they start to face off, whenever they get that initial stare down, I'm going to be like, this is amazing. You know, I'm still going to do it. I'm going to be a hypocrite about the whole thing. It's going to happen. But anyway, if they have that match, it needs to happen at WrestleMania 32. Because WrestleMania 32 is in the Dallas Stadium, and that's one of the biggest stadiums they have ever had in the history of the WWE. They will sell out quicker, and if they sell out that stadium, that will be insanity. It'll be the loudest crowd in a long time, and it's just a bigger event. 32 is a huge event. It's Dallas. It's in Texas. Undertaker's home state. You know, it's gonna be great. So, if that happens, it needs to happen there. It does not need to happen at WrestleMania 31. WrestleMania 31 is not going to be as huge. So hopefully we get Sting and Triple H, because that's a match I want to see. I think Triple H has the ability to carry Sting throughout that match. And Sting has the ability to work off of what Triple H can offer. So, either way, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what I think, because despite what Vince McMahon says, I don't think he really listens to us, and I think he is out of touch. And I still believe that we're in for some really bad television until Triple H takes over. So, oh well. But I'm running on 28 minutes here. I wanted to keep it under 30 because this is going to be on WrestlingHeads.com. It's the only place you can find me now, besides YouTube. But YouTube is a whole different animal. Yeah, and I do realize that I did not touch on any of the divas, but there's really nothing going on there. I'll say that Nikki Bella's promo impressed me. She actually did a really good job. It was still very wooden and horribly acted. And I mean, she's still very robotic. AJ is still that crazy girl from New Jersey. Yeah, oh, it's just like she's reading, and it's horrible. But I don't know. And I'll say that Alicia Fox, I'm starting to become a fan. I think she deserves Most Improved Diva of 2014. Other than that, I mean, there's really nothing going on with the divas. They have the Bellas and AJ, which I'm not fond of. I just don't get why that's the attraction. When we could have AJ versus Natalya, AJ versus Tamina, AJ versus Charlotte, AJ versus Paige again. We could have so many other good things, but we don't. So, either way. But, yeah, I'll end it on that. So, if you haven't seen the Usos documentary, you need to watch that. It was fantastic. It's very short, very awesome. If you haven't seen the Vince McMahon Stone Cold podcast, watch that. It's awesome. If you're on the fence about getting the Ring of Honor pay-per-view on Sunday, please do that. And if you haven't given NJPW World a chance, do that. I can tell you that I had one problem. That's it, where it wouldn't accept my credit card. And I did have to call my bank and say, hey, why isn't it accepting a credit card? And I had to give permission to have a foreign transaction. That's the only problem I had. Other than that, I opened it with Google Chrome, and it translated the whole page, said, here, put your email, put all this stuff, and it worked out perfectly, and I've been watching it for days, and it's fantastic. So, anyway, thank you for watching the SmarkCast. Thank you for visiting WrestlingHeads.com. WrestlingHeads.com does have I did mention Pro Wrestling Tees. They do have a store on Pro Wrestling Tees. You should definitely check that out. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'm the SmarkCast. This is the SmarkCast. Thank you.